Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and RemarkableResults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio, another Town Hall Academy where we get together each and every week and we toss up a topic, we get a panel together and we bring some incredible insights to our wonderful and beloved automotive aftermarket. A couple of things go. By the way, I got my Break for Breast shirt on. Never forget, October is all about Breaks for Breasts at breaksforbreasts.com. A couple of great shout outs to our wonderful sponsors. Here's NAPA Trax. Now, let's face it, your shop management system is the most critical tool in your shop. NAPA Trax is going to move your shop into the SMS fast lane with on-site training and 6 days a week support and local representation. Find NAPA Trax on the web at NAPATRACS.com. AutoFix Auto Shop Coaching will help you shift your gears and redefine success. Imagine your business not just meeting, but exceeding every goal. Talk to my friend Chris at AutoShopCoaching.com. Great tool. Today's class, ready to optimize training with today's class, will in just 5 minutes daily boost knowledge, retention, and improve team performance. Start seeing results today. Join your peers at todaysclass.com. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Okay, everyone, meet my panel. This is an incredible panel. Jason Stretch is here from legendary automotive and truck service, Fort Myers, Florida. Hello, Jason.
Hey, Carm.
Scott Brown is here from Cardinal Shell, Springfield, Virginia, second generation, also level 5 solutions. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Carm. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Great. I'm glad you're here. Chris Jones, editorial director, Endeavor Business Media, which is Ratchet and Wrench, if you didn't know that high-level name. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Carm. What's happening?
Nothing but in the host of the Ratchet and Wrench podcast. And Seth Thorsen is here, president Eurotech in Minneapolis, 4 stores. Also LMV Bavarian. I never can say that, but I said it right this time. Watch for something brand new for a training effort from Seth real soon. Look, I decided to talk about trends. In my mind, things going on all the time, just like Chris, we're involved in what's going on in the industry. I think about technician pay, poaching for talent, spending stupid money, consumer confidence, AI, and service advisor training. A lot of those things we're going to talk about today. But first, one of the great interesting talking points came from Scott Brown about capital allocation as a trend. Scott, talk to me about that.
Capital allocation is something I've always kind of been interested in. And that's the process when you have a business. It decides how you want to deploy your financial resources that are going to allow you to maximize your returns and achieve your financial objectives. So you basically just determine the most effective and efficient way to either raise money and how to allocate it. One of the things that's happened over the past few years, and I've talked about capital allocation a lot to people, was, during 2018, 2019, the very beginning of the pandemic, the cost of money was virtually zero. You were able to get 30-year loans. They're throwing money at us, at 3%, 3.25%. And I'm like, I advised everyone, get as much as you can because that's going to change. And it has changed now. And so now, I don't know if anybody on the broadcast has tried to get a loan. They'll take you through the process, the SBA, and then they don't have any money to lend. And if you were able to get money, the price is through the roof.
Let's stop for a moment and say that you can get money if you've got a really strong financial position. Anyone disagree with that?
Even then, it's really, really difficult now. It's hard to even get a credit card for anyone on this podcast. It's hard to open a bank account. The financial institutions are not interested in additional business. And it changes the way that we do business, or it will. It should.
I would say I'm seeing it a little bit, Scott, but I'm also seeing I got 2 or 3 banks competing for a loan, and I have banks throwing dropped interest rates at me. Banks that have liquidity are still wanting the loan. Banks that got upside down on the commercial market that ran out of their liquidity to dollar their ratios, their Z ratios and X ratios and everything are out of whack, they are not loaning. But I have banks that, if they manage themselves well, are coming to me and going, man, we really want to take that loan on from you. We'll give you a 6.5%, 7%, which is high compared to what we're used to, but it's actually lower than what a lot of people are seeing. And we have banks that will compete right now with some of the loans that we're doing on buildings and refinancing. But I have some banks that are like, man, they're watching every covenant you have with them and they're looking for ways to shed your loan. So, I mean, a trend, Scott started down this trail, but a trend that, to watch if you have loans out is watch your bank covenants and look at where your covenants are. And if you're out of covenant and a bank is in trouble, they can call your whole note with, a 30, 60 or 90 day notice to you, and you have to find a new bank to take. And Scott's right. Some banks are struggling to get loans and you could be in real trouble. So, I mean, you should watch your covenants and your bank covenants.
My point is that you just need to have a strategy, and there are alternative ways to raise capital. You can raise money through family and friends, and there's a few apps, Kiva, Lending Circle, Zertu, that can help you with that. You can do peer-to-peer lending. I got a application or an invitation from a local Mercedes dealership a few months ago that they wanted to pay me 6% interest if I invested as an accredited investor, wanted to invest a certain amount of money with them. That would be like peer-to-peer. And there's Lending Club and Prosper would be those apps. You can always talk to the VC guys or the private equity people, but that's more of an exit strategy. Also there's, crowdfunding and invoice financing or factoring.
Okay. Yeah, I want to bring this down just a notch and just talk to our typical automotive aftermarket shop owner. And the thing that I thought about when you talked about a relationship with a bank is, if you don't have a credit line, it would be a great way to start to see how that feels, what kind of money you can get, what an interest rate would be to use a credit line to support your business, to maybe buy a piece of equipment, to pay some bills and then fund it back. Anyone agree or disagree? I'd love to take that idea on.
I mean, I think everyone's in a unique position when it comes to allocation of resources and, getting money for, something. But if the money's cheap enough, absolutely. Sometimes, it just doesn't make sense with the interest rates that you can find to do that. But if you're going to make a huge amount of money buying that piece of equipment and the numbers make sense and you can pay it off, there's no prepayment penalty or, like you said, a line of credit. Yeah, it's just really looking at all the numbers.
Okay. Oh, this is so interesting. I can't believe we dumped into the deep end of the pool on financing. That's great. Let's talk about AI, Chris. What do you see from your perspective?
What I've learned over the year, spending time with various people who do AI and who are working with it on a shop level, is that it really gives time back. It gives a lot of time back to whether that's the service advisor, the business owner. But from an ownership standpoint, when we talk about documentation, standardization, really getting your business running up to snuff, AI can help you do all that. Like you can learn prompts for AI, you can learn prompts for ChatGPT to either create documentation, create job applications, to create job descriptions. You can use it to do a lot of things within the business that you need to be able to perform at a higher level and not use time. Because I think that's the biggest thing that shop owners lack is time.
I love the concept of AI and what you can use it for. So my challenge to the shop owners here on the panel, have you used it ever to at least get you sketched up to write a procedure, a standard operating procedure?
I use AI a lot. I've created some GPTs to be trainers for service advisors, for segmenting my customers, according to age and according to their how they would describe themselves, and then also how to teach my guys how to speak to the different types of customers that we have. I think the AI is going to be brilliant. It's already brilliant now. Using it as a coach, for a service advisor, both before and during phone calls, whether it's a sales call or whether it's an initial phone call, trying to identify, the things that are driving that particular customer. They just come out in the last week or so with really credible wearable Bluetooth pendants that will connect to the AI and connect to your earbud through Bluetooth. And so it can keep track of your conversation, and you can touch it and ask it a question, or you can, type a question into your thing. And so you can get it. And I think of it as a training accelerator for service advisors, because I don't know about the other shops, but we used to train our service advisors by having them shadow a master service advisor for years and learn how to sell and learn all the different things about cars. And unfortunately, those guys now have too many other responsibilities to do that level of training. And I think AI can step into the breach. And, I'm not 100% where I want to be on it yet. I'm not sure that I ever will be. I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for the shops that take advantage of it.
Talk about amazing stuff. I mean, if my wife Ann says, "I'd like you to wear this, Carm," then I'd never be able to say, "Honey, I'm sorry, I didn't say that." She'd have me locked down, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure 100% how they work. I know how I think they work. I don't know that it's recording you.
All right, that's
But
good. I love it. But AI has a very interesting place. We've discussed it on previous episodes on how we can actually help in building an estimate for the customer, and partly in what goes inside of the DVI from our technicians that are out there in the field writing the stuff up to help them with some verbiage. If it's a trend that we have to follow, AI is it. If there's an article that comes out in Chris's magazines and it says AI on it, Chris, you got to read it. I bet you guys got this as a high editorial content thing.
Well, it is. I spoke with Steve Feffel recently from Auto Ops, and I don't know if you followed his latest release, but they've got the AI service with the telephone now. So basically, when someone calls in, it's the AI is able to direct the person exactly where they need to go after hours, so they can get their service scheduled. So you've got that. You've got even things like today's class, where the app is intuitive and it knows how you learn. It interprets your learning ability and is able to serve you back more information based on how you learn. So, I mean, AI is so well integrated in shops, and I think it's going to be a major player in training, helping standardize processes, and so much more in shops.
Seth, you're on the cutting edge of tech, AI.
Yeah, I mean, we use it a little bit, but I mean, obviously with the heavy diagnostics, it's not going to diagnose a car. So, but our service writers use it a little bit. We use it for, I use it to cut my time responding. I use it for some email stuff. I use it for some light legal stuff. There are a lot of uses for it. It's a time multiplier. At this point, it's a time multiplier. I think in our industry, still the diagnostic aspect is still going to be really tough. I could see it being used to crawl databases rather than you have to sit there and search through all those terms. You could use it to search through databases on Identifix and things like that. There's definitely a lot of uses in it, especially in the management and front office side. On the technical side, I think it's still a little limited of what it's going to do for us in our industry.
But no doubt it'll be there. I loved what he said. Did you notice what he said? Light legal? That was poignant to the point where he wouldn't write a contract without his lawyer. But if he was looking for some guidance, right? Maybe some of the legalese words that he needed to have, light legal is just love the way you put that thing together.
Releases for customers. You're going to give a big refund that they're really upset, then use it for release.
I got it. I hear you. That's a great point. Jason, technician shortages. Listen, articles, podcasts, all about this. We all know it's a real thing. I love to talk to people that are in the placement business about poaching. And I also love to talk to them about there's some really good talent out there in the wrong places. They're not going anywhere. They don't see a career path, but they don't know what next step to take. And I believe there's a ton of talent in the wrong place.
There totally is, Carm. I mean, one of the things that I continue to see is that we're doing such a poor job at actually educating technicians like what to look for when they're looking for a job. So often, you recognize that they're looking for the money, right? And they're not recognizing that they need to ask questions about the environment and, opportunities for professional advancement, and really looking at, where's that shop looking to grow over the next 5 years, and a lot of other questions. And, it all comes down to the money or a different place. And what I continue to see as a trend is these guys go to a shop, start at a shop. They're there for a little bit. It didn't turn out the way they wanted it, so they try another place. Doesn't turn out. A short time later, I mean, I think we call them shop hoppers. That's what we've tended to identify these guys as, but it's a lot of these guys, it's not their fault. It's the shops themselves. But by the third shop, they're like, I'm done. I'm going to go fix conveyor belts at Amazon. There are a lot of great young guys that are coming in that are willing and able and want to learn and earn. But, there's not a lot of training opportunities at a lot of shops to take them, a program to get them where they need to go.
Yeah, career pathing, benefits, they need to go to the right culture, and they don't quite know what that word means inside of a shop. And to your point, we've got to teach them, what is it that you want from your next job? And again, it may not be money. It may just be, to your point, environment, support, and the right training. Guys, I want to jump into since we're talking about training, everyone here, I think, knows that I'm on this big push for a language shift in the industry. And what just hit me recently, and by the way, thanks for the shout out, Chris, on your one article today. I appreciate that. I keep thinking about the word education, and I'm thinking the powerful value of the word education versus the word training. And we says, wouldn't it be cool to sit down in front of a candidate to come to work for you, to work in the base, and say, tell me about all the education that you've received? Does it have more impact to realize that when I did go to a class, when I did go to a conference, that I did do a virtual piece of training, you were educating yourself, which is more, in my belief, the power of saying we require 80 hours of education this year instead of training, because athletes train, don't they? Your thoughts?
I actually like that. I like the idea of repositioning that to education. I think that has a lot of, like you said, has a lot of power, has a lot of value. I think, because when you typically think of training, you think as a one-off. It's something that you just do maybe once or twice, and then that's kind of the end all. But when you think of education, it's more of a long-term journey. And I think that's what you're hitting on. And I think I really like that positioning for it. So
you're in the business of not only of fixing cars, Seth, but of educating.
Education is obviously a big part of it. I think there's always a little bit of a distinction between education and training. Training, to me, is much more in the moment. Education is much more long-going theory, building skills. But I think you're training and educating constantly. So you're training in the moment and you're educating long-term skills and knowledge for down the road, if you ask me.
I like that. Training in the moment, educating long-term.
I think that two of the most important assets that we have as shop owners is our human capital, which is just the actual people that are in our family, people that are at the shop. And then the intellectual capital, which is the value of what everybody knows that's in the family, in the shop. So anything that we do that's going to add to their intellectual capital, education, you call it training, it's going to make the shop more valuable. It's going to make everything work better. And then think about this, having a actual balance sheet of the people, and then what those people know, what training have they been to. You've got a particular thing come, I know that guy has, been trained on that, where to go. And you said that Seth is like a training company. And I think that is the exact perfect attitude that's going to cause success for his shop going forward. Because I think that's what we are all training companies.
What I find interesting, thank you, Scott, Seth, when people call to get the support that he's got a support company, but at the same time, his people are out there training. When the call comes in, that would be more training than education, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a lot of time for education on the call. I mean, we're dealing with about 250 shops calling us. So when they call in, and usually by the time they call us, that tech is so frustrated. The shop owner's yelling at him. The tech is frustrated. The customer is calling in. Like, they just want that car gone. Yep. And even if we had all the time in the world to educate them, most of the time they want the car gone. So that's when we do our seminars and our, we call them training seminars, but those are more what, if we want to change vernacular, would be education seminars, where we're spending the time educating the technician on how to avoid these, how to diagnose this, how to find, your diagnostic funnel. That's a Brandon Steckler term, came from Jim Morton, long passed down the line, but find your diagnostic funnel where you're going to go. And that's much more of, the education part. The training part, we'll tell you what tests to check this flyer, this is your expected reading. We're going to get you going right away, because that's, by the time they're calling us, that's where they're at, and they're frustrated. So that's where we see the difference. Obviously, when we start dealing with the next launch of the company for, EV support, there has to be a little more education there and a little more background, because I got to make sure the guy on the other end isn't going to kill themselves trying to do what they're trying to do to the car. I mean, that's going to take a little bit more on the education front to make sure that I'm comfortable with the technician on the other end.
Wouldn't it be nice to know if they call in, if they have the ASE certifications for EV?
We require that on LMV. So the BMW stuff we're doing already, the high voltage, we have a cert on file for every technician. You call in without a cert, me or Justin are just going to tell you we can't help you until you get your safety cert. We just flat out tell them no safety cert, no call, no help. We're not going to help you diagnose.
I love that. That is perfect. Exactly. Hey, let's face it. Your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, we'll be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NAPATrax, that's NAPATRACS.com. In the world of auto repair, every shop has its unique rhythm and challenges. At AutoFix Auto Shop Coaching, they understand that one size does not fit all. That's why we offer personalized business coaching, tailoring our advice to meet your shop's specific needs. Transform your operations with strategies and tools to streamline your workflow, reduce waste, and skyrocket productivity. And when it comes to the numbers, we've got you covered. Our financial management guidance helps you master your finances from cash flow to profit margins, ensuring your revenue grows stronger. Every day, AutoFix Auto Shop Coaching, empowering your shop to achieve more. Visit us at AutoShopCoaching.com. Transform your team with today's class, where automotive training is easy, quick, and fun. Just 5 minutes a day on our app can eliminate hours of looking up forgotten information later. It's perfect for technicians, advisors, and managers alike. Keep critical knowledge fresh and top of mind, ensuring your team operates at peak efficiency. Today's class is impactful, accessible from anywhere, and a bit of fun too, and we're not talking about after-hours pizza either. For training that gets results, turn to todaysclass.com. Let's talk about customers keeping their cars a long time. And if it gets older and older, Jason, as an example, are we going to have the parts available?
Ever since COVID, it was like nothing was available. I think every shop owner, went through that, couldn't get this, couldn't get that. And that standard really hasn't changed any. It's challenging. I've had to hire someone particularly just for that job of finding the unicorns, finding these parts that don't exist anymore to try to keep the customer rolling. It's getting very challenging. I'm sure everybody else would agree on here today.
Tough time getting parts, Seth?
Yeah, I don't have as much a tough time getting parts, but it tends to be we only work on Euro cars. They do tend to carry their parts longer. And if they don't, some of the older value of the Euro cars have made innovation possible. And there are some parts that are hard to get. That's where, some of the module cloning and stuff comes in, where we can take a used module and wipe its EEPROM and clone, if need be, to use some of that stuff. So I'm not seeing it on my side of the business. I do talk to a lot of my domestic and shops that are general repair and domestic and Asian, and they are seeing much more of the issue that Jason's talking about. But us, we're not seeing as much of it.
Scott, how about you?
I think I'm more on line with Jason, where the supply chain doesn't seem like it's appreciably better than it was before, and we've had to get a lot more creative in sourcing parts, and especially for the older cars that are
Maybe
no longer supported.
we may need to do an episode on that word creativity. And I like that, there's a million different ways we can do to satisfy our customer. And then let's segue right into that. The customer experience, period. Any great shop knows that their culture drives that. Their people, everything that they do on a singular minute of every day matters on customer trust and loyalty. Is this going to be one of the trends that has to make sure it's in tantamount in the business? It's the peak of the umbrella, a great customer experience.
I do think that we're not competing with the best customer experience that one of our clients has experienced at another auto repair shop. We're competing with the best customer experience that they've had at any business, whether it's a restaurant,
Right.
whether it's a shop, whether it's online. We're competing with everything. And I do think, generationally, I was looking at something just recently, and I think it also involves our hiring, where I think most of the shops seem to be owned by baby boomers. Maybe it's some point some Gen Xers, but most of our employees and most of our customers are now they are the Gen Z, and soon it'll be Gen Alpha. So it's those two categories that's like 40% of people. Granted, a lot of the Gen Alpha, they don't drive yet, but they are looking for a different experience than what our traditional customers have wanted. And we've all got to deal with that. I'm not sure that anyone has truly solved that issue.
Chris, what are you hearing from all the people that you interview and the focus of the magazine on developing feel good, feel right moments for customer service?
Yeah, I think when it comes to customer service, I think shops are placing a premium on that. Shops want to perform better for customers. They're trying to make it more frictionless. And I think that's where DVI has been a very great asset for shop owners. From the standpoint of consumers, from the consumer, I would say, and just from my own experience, is that the shop experience itself does not have to be fantastic, but the speed of service is what I'm looking for. And I think that's the sentiment, is that speed of service is everything. So it's like, from the time I put my keys in the hands of the advisors to the time I get my keys back, how fast does it have to be? How quickly
what is it? What is
how
it for
quickly can
you?
I get it back?
What is it for you? What do you want? By the end of the day, you're looking at it by noon if you bring it in the morning?
For me personally, I'm okay next day, but we're in a generation of people who, if you look at Amazon now, Amazon used to be a 2-day thing. Now it's a 1-day thing. Now, in some instances, you can get Amazon the same day. I can order something at 10 o'clock and have it at my house by 5. So I think that we're in this place where people aren't patient, like a generation where people just aren't as patient. So I think people want their vehicle back as quickly as possible. And I'm not sure that shops can accommodate that sort of thing. But what I'm saying is that's on the customer end. That's the expectations they want. It's like the old adage, I want it fast, I want it now, right? But I know, of course, that's not possible always.
To our shop owners, there's an expectation that is set by your service advisor. And if that is given and it's right and it's met, then you've got that feel-good moment, yes?
Absolutely. Unless they don't set the expectation, and then you're going off of the customer's expectation that they have no idea about. So the chance of them meeting that expectation is almost nothing. So really it comes back to really restoring what used to be in our industry. And that is, communication is actually like working to build a lifelong relationship and approaching each customer with that fashion, because everybody's different. And if we don't find out about them and what means the most to them and what they're looking for, then how are we going to deliver? Just like categorizing, customers, it isn't really the best way. It's getting back to the fundamentals of communication and really being interested in understanding the person that's in front of you.
What Jason just said, everyone, I think it almost encapsulates where the focus professional automotive shops need to be today: communication and the whole client experience. And if I have not seen more of training seminars on communication and training seminars on service advisor training and more coaching and more call listening and more scripting. And it's not like we want to be AI robots. We just want to make sure that we're having the kind of relationship that builds trust. And again, it goes back to relationship, and it all has to do with, really self-assurance. Is it a dominant person speaking to a high I individual when you look at the DISC profiles? And you can't have your conversation with an individual who isn't like you, because they're not going to get along. They're not going to trust you. What's going on inside of your client experience culture, Scott?
It's funny because, we had the same culture for probably 30 years, and it served us really, really well. It was just a culture of hard work that was very, really unique in our industry. Then we had really, at the beginning of COVID, we had switched and we started really adapting our culture, and what became, I always like to have a phrase for it: grateful for everything and entitled to nothing. That just permeated everything that we did. Now we're actually, and it's lasted 5 years and it's been great, but it's kind of losing its effectiveness. And I can see the new culture that we're working on, and all of these are very, very similar, is if anything matters, then everything matters. So it's a way of really stressing details. We really worry about and concentrate on the moment. When you said about relationship, that was brilliant, because that is all, or any of our businesses is just relationships. Hospitality, we're trying to hire people that have great levels of empathy, great levels of kindness, that have good appearance, that as a shop owner, we can't teach things that they learned, at home. And I think we have to be humble and be flexible and listen to our customers all the time, and not do things the way that we've always done them just because that's the way that we've always done them. And I do think a big thing that we can do when we have these kind of attitudes is that we can ally ourselves with other friendly shops in our area to expand the capabilities of what any individual one shop can do. I think all these things lead us to be able to give an experience to the customers that they deserve and that they expect.
You know what I heard a couple of things. I heard the word sophisticated, or I felt the word sophisticated. A sophisticated client experience, which is what you're trying to build. And when I think of sophistication, Seth, and I think of a person with a Euro car, and they come to you to rely on you, listen, you're going to give the Mercedes specialist the job to figure out what's wrong with the, check engine light on a Mercedes Benz. And they, I think, expect that level of sophistication.
Our expectations of our customers are probably much higher on the Euro end and the types of people we deal with. I have a friend that's got a domestic and Euro shop, and he says he could take sometimes the joke is he could take his best domestic advisor and he might struggle with the Euro customers. The high-end Euro customers they are their own breed. And so our demands and our expectations are high in our business and what we do. We are seen as a trend post-COVID as, I'm sure everybody's seen the trend of people going back to work. The work from home era is slowly winding down as more CEOs and executives are saying we want to go back to work. People are fighting it. But as we go back to work, we're now pre-2019 again, where all of a sudden, as Chris mentioned, that speed of service. How fast can I get my car? Because that's how I get around. That's how I make money. So all of a sudden, the loaner cars, we're seeing a lot of people use our concierge service again. Our pickup and delivery. We have a base fee and a per mile fee outside of a certain range. And man, we've had a couple of people we've picked up and dropped off their car, and they only need an oil change, and the concierge fee is more than the oil change. And they go, we don't care. You save me an hour and a half in my day. We're seeing as trends that convenience, time is huge again.
Pay attention, everybody. That was just a huge takeaway. It's a gold nugget right there. And why do we have, I'm on all makes and all models. Sophisticated customer service. I just love that word. When I grow up, I want to have sophisticated customer service in my shop like Seth has. You can have it tomorrow. Am I right, Jason?
Yeah, speed of service is big. And, I alluded to like having to find parts and some of these other things. We're all having to adapt to, these new changes in the customers, wants, needs, demands, modify, our business so that we can deliver those things. And it's interesting, like just us meeting and talking about this. It was like, well, when was the last time any of us really surveyed, our customer base to find out truly what was needed and wanted, as far as speed of service, the ability to drop the vehicle off, et cetera. What is it that they're looking for? So
I
it
know.
just inspired me to like do that. This is great.
Yeah. And I think, Jason, you brought up a good point with the communication aspect. When I'm dropping my car off, the shop will send me a text message saying, hey, the technician's about to, check the car back. And then they'll send the DVI. I read the DVI. Someone gives me a call. I sign off on the order. They tell me when they're ordering the parts, when the parts should arrive. I mean, it's just that communication. I think that helps out because I think people are just naturally anxious these days, which exacerbates that speed of service thing. And I think when you talk about communicating with customers, communication takes the edge off of it all.
So just put yourself in the shoes. Go to a restaurant tonight. Just go and see how you get taken care of, and see how antsy you get when when your food isn't out in 20 minutes. Oh, I ordered this. Really, there's only 50 other people in there. It's amazing what our expectations are. And I love your point. It was like a wake-up call for you, Jason. We need to really ask our customers what it is that they want. Are they happy with the whole day? Bring your car over at 8 a.m. and we'll scope it out and we'll communicate with you. When they dropped it off, maybe they figured, well, they got 4 hours. What the hell? How hard could this be? And there wasn't an ounce of communication back or forth on the expectation of that. I love it. I think it's something everyone should do tomorrow.
Or just even expectations of answering the phone and communicating. I got up to the cabin and 2 of my thermostats were out, and I called my local HVAC guy and I told him, hey, I'm going to be in a podcast from 12 to 1. Just walk in and fix it. He's here right on time. They're working on my thermostats, and they came out within 2 or 3 hours to get AC back going. And that type of service means I probably don't care what they charge, and I'm probably not going to call somebody else because they're going to get out here and take care of me. And so as long as they keep taking care of me, it probably doesn't matter what they charge me.
Right, I got it. Cool is a premium today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other comments on this? I think this is a great trend to be speaking of or speaking to. Thank you for this input. I really would love to talk about tools. I get the magazines, and every time I flip through it, there's another new announcement, another new update, another new tool, another new requirement that comes with training. Where are we going with tools as a trend? Are we going to be able to keep up? And are we going to see a new tool released every month, every day?
Yeah, I mean, tools aren't going to stop. I mean, the only good thing is there almost is always a technology curve where we're ramping that curve, and all of a sudden stuff becomes easier and easier and easier, where all these factory scan tools, you had to have all these crazy interfaces. Now you're getting to the point where they're all web-based. I mean, how many guys on this call ever thought we would be all in web-based shop management systems, right? And I know there's still some guys on old database, stuff like that. But for the most part, I'd say a majority of our industry has gone to web-based systems. It comes with pluses and minuses being tied to the internet. But I think you're going to start to see tools be more and more based on a web-based platform that you hook up to. We're already seeing with Tesla. Tesla gives us the ability, Carm, if you're driving a Tesla and you call me up, I can remote into your car. I send you an authorization. I can pull all the data logs. I can do all my remote diagnostic 1,000 miles away from you and give you your complete report. And so you're starting to see sometimes some of the stuff is getting simplified, but you're still going to have lots of new stuff to learn and adapt to.
So I got to understand something, because I really want a Tesla. I really do. I had a ride in one a little while ago, and one day I've got to get inside of your Plaid, Seth. I have to do that.
Matt will warn you not to.
I know that. I know he will. Please don't. I'm supposed to wear a helmet and one of those big air body suits. I think that's what someone told me. But if I bought a Tesla, you could be my shop.
I can do your diagnostics. You're still going to have to go to whoever is local to fix it. But most of the shops are going to start to pick up on this stuff where, your BMW starts to allow it in Europe, not in the US yet. So, I mean, some of the stuff will change how we do diagnostics. We did have a Tesla that had a no start. Customer was able to jumpstart the 12-volt battery for me. I was able to remote in, see the loss of isolation, and isolate it down to 2 components, order the 2 parts, customer comes in, pays the diagnosis beforehand. Customer comes in, do our final verification, put the part in. They're in and out of my shop in 3.5 hours with a $1,200 bill, and their car's fixed.
There's a trend and a golden nugget. And if it's going to happen with Tesla, probably every EV that's coming out will have the same capabilities.
It's not even EV specific.
Yeah.
This is all based on central database. I mean, this could be done on any vehicle that uses more of a central gateway broadband type system inside the car. None of this is specific to EVs. Obviously, testing.
What other platforms?
Right now, Tesla's one of the only ones really doing it. BMW is starting to. I know GM can pull some codes through OnStar, and as they start to open up third-party access to some of the stuff, you're going to see some of the stuff where the shop can go, okay, well, it's not a serious issue, or you got to get in right away, or, hey, we have an idea. We need to do this amount of testing when you get in.
This is a fascinating episode. Thank you so much. And I have decided to call this Trends Part 1. just hit me, because there's so many other things to talk about or even go deeper on, because I think as an industry, we not only have to get in there and run this great business of ours, we have to pay attention to tomorrow and to what's going on around us. I would love each of you, if there's anything on your talking points that you'd like to make in a very few minutes, we'll go around the room. We'll summarize this. We'll do Chris, we'll do Jason, we'll do Scott, and then we'll do Seth. Chris, any final words, any thoughts for the audience?
I think that for shop owners, really just taking the opportunity to learn and embrace technology. It's here to stay, whether it's the technology that you have in the back of the shop when you're working on vehicles, or the technology that you can use to improve your business on the front end and improve customer service and communication. Absolutely embrace technology.
Well, great summary. Thank you so much. Chris Jones, Editorial Director, Endeavor Business Media, Ratchet and Wrench. Thank you. Jason.
What Chris said, right?
Okay.
But the tools, training, and technology requirements now are more than they ever have been. And so being on top of all of those things at once is a seemingly daunting task. But that's what I urge everybody to put their attention on, is getting the training or education, I guess the education and training that's needed, getting it done, whether it's front or back, the store.
I love that. We talked about this education and training thing. I really feel good about the fact that we did have that conversation. Jason Stretch, legendary automotive and truck service, Fort Myers, Florida. We sure hope, man, that hurricane doesn't hurt you guys down there. Scott.
What I'm taking from what I've listened and Seth and Jason and Chris, I love being on a panel where everyone's smarter than I am. I'll include you in that also, Cam. It all seems like it comes down to flexibility, being squared away with all our practices. We talked about training. We didn't talk about benefits. We didn't talk about pricing. We didn't talk about how, as the structural, financial aspects of our business have changed, inflation not being the least of it, our business models have had to change. And if they haven't, then we're in some serious trouble. And so, we're having to learn skills that we've really not had to learn or not had to use in decades. And for the shops that aren't able to do that and aren't really forward thinking, it puts them at a disadvantage. It puts their employees at a disadvantage, with the just being able to survive in the current economy. But it also, I think it affects hiring. It affects everything. And I think all these things matter.
Well said, Scott. Thank you. Scott Brown, Cardinal Shell in Springfield, Virginia, second generation level 5 solutions. Seth Thorsen.
I'll just leave it simple. Sacred cows must be murdered, must be killed. You can't say we've always done it this way and that's the way we're going to keep doing it. I think everything is moving really, really fast in today's technology. And if you're not staying up with everything and constantly learning, constantly evolving, constantly educating, you're going to fall behind. Kill the sacred cows.
Kill the sacred cows.
Awesome.
Maybe that's
a nugget
of the episode, huh?
Yeah.
Kill the Sacred Cows Part 1. I really like that. I just want you to know that. Always
good.
can count on you, Seth.
Something comes out of my mouth.
Yeah. President Eurotech Auto out in the Minneapolis area, 4 stores, also from LMV Bavarian and soon EV Tech. How cool is that? Well, thank you all so much. Appreciate this. As whatever title we gave this show, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thanks, guys.